Okay, and now we're going to move to the Sustainability Fund grant allocations for 2020-21. So Tony Moore, thanks for coming down. Right, just remind people that we've had a workshop on this, and Tony took away the questions that people had posed, and their answers to those are in the report. I know there's been a little bit of additional information since, and so Tony, if you could just talk us through, give us a bit of an overview and any updates that we need.
Sure, thank you. Well, I just want to reflect on the process and the purpose of this fund. So the purpose of the fund, of course, was set up to help address climate change and in terms of both avoiding emissions but also growing resilience in our community. It's gone through a very rigorous evaluation process, and I just want to reflect on that for a moment because it's not really clear from the information you've received that the process we've followed is so robust. So the criteria that we apply for this fund are around the relevance to the ability for creating change in Christchurch, the benefit, the scale of benefit, and the what's actually delivered to the community, the legacy that this project can deliver ongoing benefits beyond the funding that we provide, deliverability, how confident we are that this project can be delivered, and measurability, the ways that these projects the value, if you like, or the benefits can be actually measured in tangible ways. So they are the criteria that the evaluation panel applies to these projects, and then from that we summarise that into the priority levels that you have received. So that the 4 priority levels of effectively to a fund and to a not to fund. That's the summary that we provide you. So the process does include considering the if you like, the value and the benefit and the impact that these projects will have for Christchurch. So that's the process we run. At the moment, we've got a set of proposals here for you to consider, and we've already, as you heard, had a workshop with you about those, and we've met and just briefly discussed some updates. So I won't go through those today, but thank you very much, and we'll welcome your questions.
Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Just make it clear, I'm not running for the mayoralty, so these are genuine questions. Just so we know.
Can we please just stick to the topic?
Getting back to the 2 things here. The super home movement, the first one, will there be a link or some connection with our building consents team? Because we do have a staff member specialist with regards to sustainable and green homes and how you can improve it. So is there going to be a link? Because it would be logical for this council, seeing we're assisting with the funding as well, but it would seem that would be better bang for buck as well. Is that a possibility?
Sure. So the eco-design advisor position that the City Council has in the building consents or building approvals team, she's intimately involved in the super home movement. In fact, she used to work for some of the designers that are involved in that movement. But the important thing is that when people go and visit these homes, they can see the quality and the feel and the performance really of those homes that are on the tours. But Julie's also there joining the tour and talking to people as well, but her information is also available at each of the homes, so that somebody might go and see the home and go, oh gosh, I'm really keen to learn more, and here's how the council can help. So she's also, in addition to that, organising a minivan, because before this tour there's also an industry tour. So Julie's actually taking the eco-design advisor of the City Council is taking a group of industry players around the homes and talking to them about the sustainability features of the homes as well.
I think that would be really good to take our building sense and our planning members along, do that as well, so it's just cross-pollination and better bang for buck, I think, because this is obviously about the future and about future economics as well as environment. So I think it'd be really good. And that kind of follows on to my next question, which was the Project Management Institute, and they're kind of offering to kind of add some value to our staff. So again, I think that'd be really important to follow that up. Because I would presume that they would be adding and upping their area with regards to green builds, etc., and conserve water and things like that, which are going to have to be necessary evil, if you like. But Is that part of the focus when we talk with these people?
That's exactly right. So it's wonderful to have the Institute developing guidelines for its members, so that has a national appeal, a national approach, but also gives that sort of mana a bit of weight. But the purpose of it, as you just described, is to help those project managers better consider the sustainability features of whatever project they're working on. So often it's a building, so thinking about energy and water and waste, and of course the carbon footprint of infrastructure. So the guidelines or the toolkit that they're trying to create with their members will be aimed at delivering that outcome.
So I think because the chair has mentioned in other meetings with regards to making sustainability a standard line item in our own development of properties and buildings, projects, etc. So again, I think this would be a really good link in with our project management teams and our procurement teams with regards to lifting that knowledge and broadening that knowledge perhaps.
Yes, that's the intention.
Right, thank you.
Thanks for that. Sam, then Aaron.
Cool, yeah, thank you. Probably just more at a high level, what are we doing to encourage more outstanding projects as opposed to just worthwhile or satisfactory? Because I mean, there's the Mutu ones obviously signalled as outstanding, but the others do seem worthwhile to an extent, but there's nothing that really is that sort of exemplar. What are we doing to ensure that, I guess, the money we're providing is going to those kind of projects, as opposed to just waiting for the applications to come in?
Yes, so thank you for that question. I mean, I suppose we are trying our best to reach the innovators that we see in the city. So we've been working with, or communicating through the different networks that are out there. There's innovation ecosystems that exist in Christchurch. We're very lucky to have them. So groups like Canterbury University, the Centre of Entrepreneurship, Ministry of Awesome, Arkina, a range of different groups get the information about the fund being open, and we try and work through their networks so that they can then approach their own innovators to come up with some smart ideas as well. And then, of course, it goes out through just environmental networks to try and reach as many really people as we can. But I suppose another layer to your question is we don't actually facilitate in the projects being developed. So because we've got a very light touch, what we do is we put out the information that this fund is open and we want to hear your good ideas, but we don't actually facilitate or help in any way the project's being developed.
So I guess maybe the other way to look at it, and I won't take up much time, so is the criteria right then for the fund? Because it just seems like if we're spending other people's money on stuff and we're saying they're worthwhile but not outstanding, then actually are we investing that money wisely? So it doesn't have to be an answer now, but I'd love you guys to give us some consideration and come back on if we've got that mix right.
Yep.
So those priority levels are actually consistent with what the Strengthening Communities team use as well. So it's just signalling that some projects are, as you say, outstanding and others are worthwhile. That's just. But you're right. We want to get as many outstanding projects as we can. I understand that. Yeah. Thank you.
Could I just add, I think it's probably helpful that you have adopted a climate strategy, so there's, and you're looking at where you want to focus your effort in that, so there then becomes opportunity through funds like this to actually say, desperately seeking projects that deliver on. That might be a direction that could be taken in the future. Yeah. But we'll bring some advice back.
That'd be great. Thank you. Aaron, and then Leanne.
Yeah, just a quick one on the number 3 there, the withdrawal of the electric ferry. Is there any update on that and the reason why, so on and so forth, and the way forward?
So the rationale probably would. I mean, I can at a high level, they couldn't bring it all together to deliver that project for us. So they've offered to return the money, or to decline, and maybe in the future they'll reapply when they can have more time to pull it together. So I think there's still interest in delivering that project.
Right, but at a high level, do electric boats not exist, or they do, but they're super expensive, they're hard to charge?
I'm just wondering if, because there's some commercial sensitivity here, perhaps we could just provide a quick update via a memo to you on that.
Yeah. I think that was dealt with in the workshop as a commercially sensitive matter, but if you'd like to have a recap of that maybe after the meeting.
Which workshop?
The one for this fund, where we did a workshop on the funding applications.
Oh, last week.
No, some time ago.
So, but in answer to your question,
Yeah.
the electric
Most of the
ferries do
table
exist.
reviews.
They do exist. So that's and
Yeah,
there's one
absolutely.
available. There's one
Yeah.
operating right now in Wellington.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all. But if you'd like an update on the specific project, then Tony will be happy to talk to you afterwards.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Leanne and then Pauline.
I just wanted to compare two that aren't being signed off here. The Brighton Observatory of Environment and Economics Trust, which says that Coastal Hazards team to work with applicant to prepare a new application. I mean, the Coastal Hazards team can see value in what they're doing.
Yes.
And I mean, even if there was funding within that project, you know, it may be an alternative to funding through this mechanism. But that's, you know, I'll leave that over to you guys to bring it back. But the one underneath it, Te Pātako o Rākaihotu Banks Peninsula Geopark, encourage the applicant to develop proposal with iwi and finalise designs with council. It doesn't have the same work with approach to it, so I just wonder whether I can get some reassurance that that staff will work with them, you know, because initially I thought, well, we could make it subject to, but I just wonder whether it's bridging the relationships, helping them develop what's appropriate. I mean, I take on board the comments about the distance, you know, that these signs would be at, but I also know that when there is a sign that explains to people the area that they're in and tells the bigger story, the history pre-colonisation, then it's usually a very good thing in terms of environmental awareness.
Just earlier this morning we had a quick catch up with the council's cultural advisor, and in fact if council were minded to approve that with a condition of subject to support from Mana Whenua, that would be, he thought that would be entirely appropriate if you were minded to make that decision, and then we could work with him and with set up the necessary partnerships and liaison, and then there wouldn't be a need to come back to council.
Okay.
So
if
Leanne,
you were so minded.
Leanne, if you'd like to propose adding the
Well,
funding into the approved funding
I
there.
would be happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'll second
So
it.
if we could,
But it does it have, I mean, who's moved and seconded the motion?
we don't have that on the table yet, but if you two are happy to do that with, it wouldn't be amendment if you just added that in
Yeah.
and moved the motion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
We need
we
some wording for that
Yep.
one now.
add that in. We
Subject
could just add,
to-
we can add that one to the, to make it an HI, yeah. And then are you happy with the requested 10,000 there? Are you happy with the requested 10,000 there? The 10,000?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
fine.
So in the grant funding agreement, we could include that condition in the wording of that agreement.
Yeah. Great. Pauline, question for you?
Mine's just on the Phillipstown Charitable Trust application for solar panels and LED lighting. Is that the total cost of the project?
Yes, it is.
Wow, that's incredible.
Mm.
They've come down a lot.
They're doing some amazing work.
It's really good to know. But it's just a very small one, is it? So it's not.
Correct. Yes, it's yes, that's right.
It'll just do like water heating or.
I think it's mostly lighting, and they're aiming for some heating, I think, but it's probably going to be mostly lighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Be nice to go and have a look at that when it's in. Get
Come
us
to the
no
vegan
thanks.
night market.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions? Jimmy?
Question is, we review the page 54, the move to the business tour. I just want to know, what's distinguish, between those two funds. One is the sustainability fund. The other one, you particularly emphasize the regional waste fund. This one, how to distinguish particular your applicant are not aware of this kind of situation, how
Yes.
start, how to give them proper guidance.
Yes, at the moment, the Regional Waste Minimisation Fund looks at supporting projects that have a benefit across the region with a particular focus on waste. Our Sustainability Fund, of course, is looking at supporting projects that help Christchurch be more sustainable in all its senses. So waste is aligned with that. So there is a potential overlap. You could envisage a potential overlap. But what we do is when we're doing the evaluation of projects, we invite the solid waste team to come and meet with us and talk to us about their views on the projects we receive as well, and give us guidance about whether they think this is more or less appropriate for the regional fund. So there is a discussion that happens around that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. No further questions? Is there any debate? No, in that case I'll put the motion. All those in favour please say aye. Aye. Any against? No, declare that carried. Thank you very much. Right. Next we move to the draft submission